Brian Evans makes astounding, truthful comments on the JMV The Ride show. We're going to talk about that, and people are leaving Indiana. Let's get into this episode.
1 for 3 on the way. Oh!
Hello, guys, and thank you for joining me on Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. So we have a lot to talk about today because I was listening to this interview that Brian Evans did on the JMV, The Ride show that's on The Fan in Indianapolis yesterday. And I'm going to play about 4 clips from that show because listening to that, I felt like I got mad at watching a game afterwards because a lot of stuff that he was saying just really pissed me off by listening to this about Mike Woodson, about the team, about everything that's going on with this group and just how disappointing it is. We'll get into all that and talking about it. Gunn, Sparks, Banks, all gone. They're out of here. How many spots is Indiana going to have to fill? So right now, all of a sudden, 5 guys. I know Sparks, Gunn, Banks did not play that much, but also you got Walker gone that played off the bench, and you got Xavier Johnson gone. How many will leave, and how many spots will Indiana have to fill by the time this is all over? It's not going to be easy. There is no way it's going to be easy. All that and more on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection, but if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button down below, smash that bell notification, then you will get an alert every time I go live. I will be live tomorrow for 12 hours during the March Madness, so join me. I got parlay bets. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I got food coming. I got all kinds of things going on, so join me on that. If you're lonely during the game, you want some company, you want to see what I'm doing, log on. I will be there. I will be watching all the games. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that thumbs up. That helps us grow this Hoosier community. And leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought of Evan's comments, and we're going to talk about it all on this episode. And I have a giveaway. At 750 subscribers, I will be giving away home field apparel. Your choice this time. You'll get any team. Tell me the team you want. I will send you a shirt from Home Field Apparel, and they have the softest material of these home field shirts. That's why I'm sending them out to you, because only the best for the subscribers of Indiana Sports Connection. Only the best. All right, now let's get into talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. Running out of air. All right, so Brian Evans was on JMV The Ride show on The Fan in Indianapolis yesterday. You can listen to that on a podcast. I will link that in the description down below, but I'm going to play some clips from that episode, just a few excerpts from it, some stuff that really hit home for me, and we're going to talk about those comments, and we're going to talk about how this is affecting Indiana basketball in a negative way. So the first comment that he said on there, let's roll that clip and then we'll talk about what he said, because this is unbelievable. What's happening in Indiana basketball? It's unbelievable. Let's roll that clip.
Forced to think, have I ever heard of a program that is in March and has a bag of money that it wants to hand to people and doesn't have any recruits? They don't have anyone willing to take the money. And I just thinking, well, it can't get any worse than this. This is pretty bad.
Yeah. We have a bag of money. It makes me feel very idiotic as a fan, just like that we're sitting here with a bag of money trying to hand it out to people, and nobody wants it. Nobody's coming. Recruits aren't coming. We have no high school recruits. Will some people in the transfer portal take the money? Oh, hell yes, they will. But what are we going to get out of that? What are we going to get out of that? It is tough sledding with what's going on there right now. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse as you really start to think about what happened during this season. Let's play this next clip. He talks about a little bit what happened on senior night and how it was so head scratching. I actually was thinking the exact same thing. I did not mention that on this show because I didn't really think it was my place to say something about the players, but this is exactly what I thought about Leal and Galloway taking their framed jerseys and acting like it was senior night, even though they're coming back. Roll that clip of Brian Evans.
And it got worse. The coach gets up and first off, we celebrate a couple of guys that aren't seniors on senior night, which I'm still scratching my head and wondering why nobody's asking questions about that. We're celebrating Leal and Galloway, who are both going to come back again and play, but we're still framing jerseys and giving them to them and letting them speak to the crowd. I don't understand what's going on. Like, they're not seniors. They're announcing they're juniors, yet we're going to let them be seniors and talk to the crowd. Just confusing. And then the coach takes the microphone, and it just got worse. You know, I heard him make 15 references to I, me, my, as he gave what sounded to me like an acceptance speech, like he had won an award of some sort.
And there you go. It's like, what the heck is going on here? I mean, here's what I think about why Leal and Galloway did the senior night. I believe this was like kind of a PR stunt a little bit by the front office of Indiana University. I think they thought, you know what? Nobody likes Xavier Johnson. And you know what? Anthony Walker, it's not like he's been there 1 year. I mean, you don't really have time to really get to even know a player when they just play 1 year and they're playing on a crappily coached team by Mike Woodson. So I think they were just like, yeah, we got to have a couple more guys out there. And I will say this. Leal said in his senior night speech, we're going to run it back. Brian Evans is exactly right. Most of the time, when people say they're going to run it back, it's normally like after they won the Super Bowl. You say, I'm going to run it back. We don't need to run this back. We don't need to run this back, Anthony. Okay? Anthony, Samantha, Mona, we ain't running this. We don't need to run this back. We need to run this forward. We need to run this team forward, into the next thing, because we already know what it was last year. It was suck ass. That's what it was. We don't need to run it back. All right. The next clip, Brian Evans, he talks a little about what Mike Woodson was saying and how the language he used was very destructive to me. So let's roll that clip.
To feel like I was being told that I'm not a fan of Indiana basketball if I'm not on board with what I've seen this year. And that's what I think Mike Woodson did on senior junior night, was tell everybody either you love Xavier Johnson and you love what we're doing and what we're building, or you're not a true fan. And it blew me away. And that was the low point of not just the season for me, but just being an Indiana basketball fan for 40 plus years. To be told that I'm not a true fan of the program was pretty bad news. It was just bad news.
And there you go. I mean, Indiana basketball fans have been along far before Mike Woodson was ever born, far before Scott Dolson was ever there, far before I was born, or my dad was born, or probably your grandpa was born. That's just all there is to it. Indiana basketball is bigger than all of us. It was built from a foundation of the love of the game of basketball, really from the people within the state of Indiana. If you know the story of the first basketball game in Indiana, it was like they put up a sign that said basketball game tonight in this small town, and practically the place, they played in the town hall because it had wood floors, and practically the entire town showed up. So Indiana basketball has been popular in Indiana from the get-go. From the very beginning, people have loved it. From that very first game on, since they packed that town hall, it's just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're all true fans. Brian Evans a true fan. And all of you that do want to say you can't criticize the coach or anything like that, or else you're not a true fan. Well, you know what? You're calling out ex-players of the team as well. Get it together out there, the people with the rose-colored glasses on, because this is not going to get better before it gets worse. And I hope you see that's not what I want, but that's what I see is going to happen unless there are major, major changes with this program and with the staff and everything going forward. And we're not seeing that. We should have seen this Monday and Tuesday should have been Death Monday for those assistant coaches, because they should have all been fired. We're not seeing any of those changes, and it's really pissing me the fuck off. I will tell you that right now. We're not seeing any of that, which means next year, what are we going to see? We can't hope to see anything different if we run it back, Anthony, okay? And then the last clip, he talks about what happened in that last game, which was an all-time low for Mike Woodson, Indiana basketball, and everybody involved when he dipped out of that game. Let's roll that clip, what Brian Evans had to say about that.
By bailing out on his players, his staff, the university leadership that gave him another year. I mean, they just handed him another year. And that behavior in the game to get tossed out and walk off the court and leave everybody else there down by 33 or whatever it was the worst that I've ever seen. And it's the worst I've ever felt after watching the game on TV, an IU game. And I think and he bailed out on everybody, not just the true fans, but the rest of us too.
You know, I have a lot of respect for Brian Evans. I know he played like about 6 or 7 years in the NBA for the Orlando Magic. You know, the psychology of NBA coaches and how that stuff goes down, because he is exactly right. In college, most of the time when the coach gets kicked out of the game, it happens in a spot where they're arguing calls, they get one technical foul, and then there's another foul call or some call that goes against them in a really bad way again, and the coach goes berserk. We did not see any of that. Mike Woodson dipped out on his team, and he really dipped out, like he said, on the administration that gave you a second chance, to everybody that says you're coming back to coach this team again next year. It's really, really just laughable. We have guys leaving now. Not really surprised. Gunn, Sparks, Banks. I'm not really surprised those guys left. But it does show a level of like no development whatsoever. I mean, I feel like CJ Gunn maybe could have been a good player if he would have had the right coaching, but he was just never given an opportunity, really. And you could tell, just to spite those coaches, he went out there and was like, I'm just going to shoot the ball in this last game. And he did it. And you know what? He scored like 17 points. So good for you, CJ Gunn, because that was him just giving the middle finger to this staff. Like, you don't know what the F you're doing coaching this team. You don't know anything about college basketball. And you're telling me not to shoot from the outside. How about F you? You know, like, we spent a whole year, another year, trying to slam the ball down into a big guy, and we're probably going to see more of that just egregiously awful style of basketball more next year. I hope not. I don't want to watch it, but that's probably what we're going to see. So much that just got me really, really fired up. Go on there, listen to the podcast. They do have the full episode of that just on podcast. It's like about 30 minutes long with Brian Evans, but really great interview. Love Brian, one of the great Hoosiers of all time. And what Mike Woodson is doing there, look, we have a countdown now. Hopefully this is just 1 year and he will be gone after next year. So I'm going to start selling Fire Mike Woodson t-shirts here probably at the beginning of next year. So thank you so much for joining me on Indiana Sports Connection. And until next time, stay classy out there, Hoosier fans.
Are we gonna do what they say can't be done?